Chant and dance as much as possible in this human form of life.
Hare Krishna. So as Prabhuji mentioned, today is the most auspicious day of Bahulashtami, which is celebrated as the appearance day of Radha Kund. Unfortunately, because of COVID, unprecedented times, probably most of us ideally would have been in Vrindavan this year, taking bath in Radha Kund, but we take this as Krishna's desire, as Radharani's desire. If not physically, at least virtually, we can sit wherever we are, whether we are in New Jersey or we are in Seattle or whichever part of the world we are in, we can sit and discuss the glories of Srimati Radharani and her Kund, which is not different from actually taking bath in her Kund. Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto, there is a very beautiful verse that comes up. Canto 10, chapter 52, text 20. In the episode of Rukmini, Shukadev Goswami quotes a very beautiful verse. He describes what are the benefits of hearing Hari Katha. You see, till the time we don't know what we are going to get out of hearing, till that time we may or may not appreciate what is being presented. Like, for example, those who are spiritually greedy would probably resonate to my thought that when we are reading Ashtakams or any prayers, the first thing that we do is we turn to the last page and see what the Falashruti is, what is the fruit. And we see what is the fruit? Putravan dhanavan loke dirgha ayu upajayate. Oh, by reading this Ashtakam, dhanavan, we become very wealthy. Putravan, we have a child. Dirgha ayu, we have a long life. So when we read that this is the fruit by reading the Ashtakam, our faith and eagerness to chant it increases. Similarly, dear devotees, Shukadev Goswami in the 10th canto, chapter 52, text 20, he gives 3 benefits of hearing Harikatha. What is it in it that will help me? What will I get by hearing this narration? So Shukadev Goswami says, Brahman Krishna Katha Punya Madhvi Loka Malapaha Konu Tripyeta Shrunvanam Shrutagya Nityanutanaha. Srila Shukadev Goswami says, Brahman Krishna Katha Punya. The first quality is Punya. It means it is pure. Krishna Katha is always pure. And anyone who comes in this current of Hari Katha, they also become pure. There is absolutely no doubt about this. But if the intention is not to get purified, then that purification may take time. For example, Dhritarashtra Maharaj. Dhritarashtra Maharaj was not hearing the Bhagavad Gita with the intention of being purified. He had ulterior motives. His main reason why he was hearing was whether his children, the Kauravas, whether they were victorious or not. So does that mean Dhritarashtra Maharaj was not purified? Well, no. Dhritarashtra Maharaj was purified, but that purification took a long time because his intention was not to get purified. Similarly, dear devotees, from Gaur Leela, Keshav Kashmiri. Keshav Kashmiri knew all the Shastras left, right, center. He had all the verses in the tip of his tongue. But Keshav Kashmiri's intention of studying the Shastra was not for his purification. He got humility after humiliation. When Nimai Pandit humiliated him, that's when he got humility. And that's when later Kaviraj Goswami describes he got purification. So the point I'm making is, if the intention is not for purification, then the Harikatha that we hear will take time. But if the intention is sincere and pure, then Harikatha will act really fast. For example, if there are 3 cups of dal that has spilled to the ground, now what do we do, dear devotees? If dal has fallen to the ground, we take a clean cloth. We take a clean cloth so that we can clean the dirt that has fallen to the floor. But the condition, the prerequisite is we have to take a cloth that is completely clean. We don't take a dirty cloth to clean the dirty floor. But when we take a clean cloth and clean the floor, what happens is the floor becomes clean, but the cloth becomes dirty. But dear devotees, Harikatha doesn't work this way. Harikatha doesn't clear the contaminations of the heart and become dirty itself. Harikatha is like the sun. What is the characteristic of the sun? Srila Prabhupada many times in his lecture would make this point. If there is water and urine that is there on the ground, in the road, the sun doesn't distinguish, oh, this is water, oh, this is urine. The sun purifies the water and the urine equally, so much so that the place becomes completely clean, it becomes completely fragrant, and dear devotees, the contamination of the urine or the water is not stuck on to the sun. Dear devotees, if a material sun can have this quality of purifying a place at the same time remaining pure in itself, what to speak of Srimad Bhagavatam? Krishne swadhamopagate dharma jnana vidhi saha kalau nashta drisham esha purana arka dhunoditaha. Shukadev Goswami in the first canto, third chapter, he says this Srimad Bhagavatam is the spiritual sun which rose after Krishna departed from this world. So if a material sun can have this qualification, what to speak of the spiritual sun, Srimad Bhagavatam? So Shukadev Goswami says this is the first quality. It is punya. It is always pure. Second, madhvi. Harikatha is very sweet. Madhvi means madhu. It is very sweet. Dear devotees, we see in this world the medicines to clear deha rog. When there is some problem in the body, the medicines to clear or treat the problems of this body is very bitter. So then what to speak of the disease of bhava rog, the disease of repeated birth and death? That medicine has to be so damn bitter. But Shukadev Goswami says, no, Harikatha is not bitter, but it is sweet. It is very sweet. And he uses the phrase madhvi. It is madhu, very sweet. So this is the second characteristic, dear devotees. First is Harikatha is very pure. It is punya. It clears the contamination of the heart. And second, it is very sweet. And third, lokamalapaha. We see some time back, a month ago, we celebrated the most auspicious month of Purushottam Mass. And one of the famous songs that we all sang throughout the world was Chaurashtakam. And in that, Bilva Mangala Thakur very sarcastically glorifies Krishna. And one of the satires that Bilva Mangala Thakur uses, he says, Aneka janmar jitapapa chauram chauragraganyam purusham namami. He says, my dear Lord, the only thing I collected lifetime after lifetime, lifetime after lifetime is a mountain of sins. But you are such a big thief. You stole even that away. What a big thief you are. So very sarcastically, he glorifies the Supreme Lord. So when the Lord comes as Sri Krishna, as Shyama Sundar, he steals the complexion from the cloud. When he comes as Ramachandra, he steals the complexion from the grass. And dear devotees, where are people running in between the cloud and the grass? It is gold. So Bilva Mangala Thakur is saying, my dear Lord, you as Gauranga Mahaprabhu, you have even captured the complexion of gold. So you have actually conquered all the three yugas, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali. And Bilva Mangala Thakur very beautifully in his work, he says, my dear Lord, you accept much more than what the devotees can offer. For example, dear devotees, Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj gave his head, but what did Vamandev do? He accepted his whole body. So Bilva Mangala Thakur is making this point that, my dear Lord, you accept much more than what everyone can offer. Just like as Krishna, you stole the complexion from clouds. Just like Ramachandra, you stole the complexion from grass. Just like Gauranga Mahaprabhu, you stole the complexion from gold. Similarly, Shukadev Goswami says, this Harikatha is ever ready to kidnap, is ever ready to steal the sins from our heart. Lokamalapaha. Isn't it beautiful, devotees? Shukadev Goswami is giving three qualities. First, he says it is punya, it is very pure. Second, it is madhvi, very sweet. And third quality he gives is lokamalapaha. Harikatha is always ready to kidnap the sins that we accumulate. So it's already 15 minutes and we're building this introduction, dear devotees, only so that we know what we are going to get by discussing. If we do not know what the benefits are, then we may or may not appreciate this discussion. So with this benchmark that we have set as to what Shukadeva Goswami in the 10th canto says, we now begin our discussion. Srila Rupa Goswami, in his Nectar of Instruction, for those who have done Bhakti Shastri, will be very much aware. Srila Rupa Goswami in Upadeshamrita, in Nectar of Instruction, in the 9th verse, he gives a very beautiful hierarchy. He says, Vaikuntha janito vara madhupuri tatrapi rasotsava vrindaranyamudara pani ramana tatrapi govardhana radha kundamihapi gokulapate premamrita plavanat kuryad asya virajito giritate sevan viveki naka. Rupa Goswami is very beautifully in the 9th verse is giving a hierarchy. What is Rupa Goswami saying? Rupa Goswami is saying greater than Vaikuntha is Mathura of this world. Now, dear devotees, this is a very big statement. Rupa Goswami is saying greater than Vaikuntha is Mathura. Why? Because Vishnu, he doesn't appear in Vaikuntha. He is always eternal. There is no appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha. But when Krishna comes down, he appears in Mathura. He appears to Devaki and Vasudeva in the jail. And Rupa Goswami says, because the Lord appears, Mathura is greater than that Vaikuntha. But he says, there is something greater than even Mathura. Which is that place? He says Vrindavan. He says Vrindavan is even greater than Mathura. Why? Because when Krishna appeared in Mathura, he did not perform any pastimes. Immediately he was taken. The same night he was taken to Vrindavan. Second, dear devotees, Krishna performs his rasa dance, his rasa leela in Vrindavan. So naturally Vrindavan becomes superior to Mathura. And third and very interesting point, dear devotees, when Krishna was in Vrindavan, he would walk bare feet. He would not wear any shoes and slippers, but he would walk bare feet in Braj. So now sometimes this question can be raised. Oh, what is so great about it? Even Ramchandra and Chitrakoot walked barefoot. So what is so great about Krishna walking barefoot? But dear devotees, the counter argument for that is Ramchandra did not eat the dust of Chitrakoot. But our Sri Krishna, like a small baby, cross-legged, ate the dust of Vrindavan, which easily proves the supremacy of Vrindavan over Mathura. So Rupa Goswami is saying greater than Vaikuntha is Mathura, greater than Mathura is Braj Dham. But he says, no, there is something greater than Vrindavan. And that place is Giriraj Govardhan. Why? Because when we know in the Govardhan pastime, when Indra was throwing the thunderbolt and when there was torrential rains, the life of all the Brajavasis were at stake. But at that time, if there was anyone who protected the Brajavasis, including Krishna, it was Giriraj Govardhan. Giriraj Govardhan sacrificed his own life to protect the Brajavasis. And dear devotees, it is for this reason, Srimati Radharani in the 10th canto in the section of Venu Geet, she says, Hantaya Madhuravala Haridasavarya. O Giriraj, you are the best among servants of the Lord. Not just this, dear devotees. When Krishna was small and when he would have his Sakhya pastimes, our acharyas say for more than 12 hours a day, Krishna was in Govardhan. He would play hide and seek with his friends. He would slide down from Giriraj. Giriraj would offer cooling water. He would offer fruits. He would offer caves. So Giriraj serves the Lord in all possible manners. And for this reason, dear devotees, our Rupa Goswami says, Greater than Vaikunta is Mathura. Greater than Mathura is Braj Dham. Greater than Braj Dham is Govardhan. But he says, if there is anything that is the topmost, that is the crest jewel, that is the greatest place in the cosmic manifestation, Srila Rupa Goswami says, that has to be Radha Kund. Why? Because Rupa Goswami says Radha Kund is the liquefied form of Srimati Radharani. Radha Kund is absolute. Just like we have Srimati Radharani, if Radharani has to be seen in a liquefied form, it is Srimati Radharani. It is Sri Radha Kund. And Radha and Krishna have very intimate pastimes in Radha Kund. And it is for this reason, Rupa Goswami says Radha Kund is the highest place in this cosmic manifestation. So a very beautiful hierarchy is given by Srila Rupa Goswami himself to establish this point that if there is any place that is the greatest, it is Radha Kund. So dear devotees, once our Shyam Sundar Shri Krishna in Golok Vrindavan, our Shyam Sundar Shri Krishna was sitting with Srimati Radharani in the groves of Vrindavan. And it so happened that by associating with Radharani, our Krishna was so intoxicated. He was so intoxicated that he just went inside the forest. He went inside the forest and he assumed the mood of Srimati Radharani. And now in the mood of Radharani, he was chanting Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And now because Krishna in the mood of Radharani was chanting Krishna, here Radharani was separated from Sri Krishna. She was having Vipralamba, she was separated. So now naturally, Radharani in the mood of Krishna started chanting Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. And now the Sakhis, the gopis who were there near Srimati Radharani, they were seeing. And they tried to pacify Srimati Radharani, but they couldn't do anything. They tried their level best, but they couldn't do anything. So finally, they went to the forest and beseeched Krishna and said, my dear Krishna, if there is anyone who can pacify Srimati Radharani, it is you. So then Krishna, he came to Srimati Radharani. And when Krishna met Srimati Radharani, and when Radharani met Sri Krishna, there was a festival of eyes. As Sri Gaur Govinda Maharaj would say, it was Netrotsav. It was a festival of union. It was a festival of the eyes. And just looking at each other, Krishna began weeping so much. And likewise, Radharani began weeping so much. And Radharani and Krishna were crying and crying and crying, and there were incessant tears that were flowing. And dear devotees, what happened was Krishna's tears gave rise to Shyam Kund, and Radharani's tears gave rise to Radha Kund. And this was the first time, this was the origin, this was the root of the appearance of Radha Kund and Shyam Kund in the spiritual world, dear devotees. Radha Kund and Shyam Kund in the spiritual world, in Golok Dham, was formed by the incessant tears of Vipralamba, tears of separation by Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna. So this only, dear devotees, illustrates one point, that the Brajavasis, headed by Srimati Radharani, they love Krishna so much. They dearly love Krishna. And this is very apparent because we see, dear devotees, in Mathura, when Krishna went to Mathura, when he was invited by Kamsa Maharaj, when Krishna entered Mathura, all the Mathura Vasis, they were seeing Krishna. They saw Balaram and they were so scared because all of them were seeing Krishna and Balaram in the mood of Vatsalya, in the mood of parental. So when they saw Krishna and Balaram, they were so scared and they were thinking to themselves, what Kamsa has done is not right. Krishna and Balaram are only 11 years. And here Kamsa has placed a mad elephant in the form of Kuvalaya Peed. And after that, there is Chanur and Mushtik, who are almost like 6-pack and 8-pack. And then you have Kamsa. So the Mathura Vasis were thinking, what Kamsa has done is not right. Out of parental affection, they were feeling for Krishna. But, dear devotees, we see when Krishna held the hair of Kamsa and dragged and punched him to death, what happened was the Vatsalya that was there, the motherly affection of the Mathuravasis that was present, it completely shattered. The strings of Vatsalya Prem completely broke down because now they saw Bhagavan smashing and punching Kamsa to death. So they understood that a 11-year-old son cannot do this. He has to be Bhagavan. And immediately our acharyas say all of them fell at their feet looking at Krishna. They were now seeing Krishna as Bhagavan. So the point is, immediately their Vatsalya came down, it broke, and it came down to Dasyaras. Second example, dear devotees, we find Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 11th chapter, when Krishna is showing the Virat Roop, at that time Arjuna, he says, Sakheti matva prasabamya duktam, He Krishna he Yadava he Sakheti, Ajanata Mahimanam tavedam, Maya pramadat pranayena vapi, Yachavahasartam asatkritosi, Vihalasaya sanabhojaneshu, Ekotyavyapya chutatat samaksham, Tachamaye tvam aham aprameya. Chapter 11, text 41-42 Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is telling Krishna that, my dear Lord, all the while I thought that you are my friend. And very casually I would address you as, Hey Krishna, Hey Yadhav, Hey Sakha, Ajanata Mahimanam Tavedam. My dear Lord, I didn't know that you are Bhagavan. I made such a big mistake. I treated you as my friend, but seems like you are Bhagavan. And so many times I mocked, I made fun of you. My dear Lord, takshamaye tvam aham prameya. I fall at your feet. Please grant me forgiveness. So dear devotees, again the same point. Till now, till the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was seeing Krishna in the mood of Sakhyaras. But the moment Krishna showed his universal form, Arjuna's friendship broke and he became in the mood of Dasyaras. But dear devotees, now let's come to Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, it doesn't work this way. The first example, in the pastime of the forest fire. So there were two pastimes of forest fire. One of them was at Bandirvat. And our acharyas very beautifully say that when the friends and the cows and calves were stuck in the forest fire, in the middle of the forest fire, they called out to Krishna. And when Krishna came, he assessed the whole situation. He told his friends to close their eyes. And the friends closed their eyes. And the acharyas comment that why did Krishna ask his friends to close their eyes? Because Krishna was thinking to himself, already once I ate dirt and they complained to Mother Yashoda. If they see me drink fire, they are going to complain to Mother Yashoda and Mother Yashoda is going to reprimand me. So that they don't see me again drink fire, Krishna asked his friends to close their eyes. So now when the friends had closed their eyes, Krishna swallowed the whole forest fire. And then when the friends opened their eyes, they knew that Krishna swallowed the forest fire. But their love for Krishna didn't fall, dear devotees. Unlike the Mathuravasis or Arjuna, the friends, their love for Sri Krishna did not fall even after witnessing Krishna's godly abilities. This is first example. Second, again in the pastime of Krishna killing Kamsa, when Krishna smashed and punched Kamsa to death, our acharyas describe at that time Sridham Sakha, he came there. And Sridham Sakha came and he stood and he looked at the whole situation. And he looked at Krishna and he said, you cannot be my Krishna. My Krishna is not so strong. So Krishna looked and said, Sridham, I am your Krishna. Sridham said, no, my Krishna is not so strong. I defeat him every day in punching. He is not so strong. He cannot defeat Kamsa. You cannot be Krishna. Krishna said, no, I am Krishna. How do I prove it to you? Sridham Sakha said, no, I don't believe you. You cannot be Krishna. And then Sridham Sakha said, if you are Krishna, let us have a battle right here, right now itself. And let's see who wins. So Krishna says, okay, theek hai, we will fight. And our acharyas say near the dead body of Kamsa, Sridham and Krishna start wrestling. They start punching each other. So much so that, dear devotees, Sridham punches and defeats Krishna. And he says, confirm, you are my Krishna. Because I defeated you in the battle. You cannot be. So there the Acharyas, they comment by saying the love of the Brajavasis, the love of the friends of Krishna is so deep that Sridham Sakha has seen Krishna drag Kamsa to death, but he's still convinced that Krishna is not God. He's still convinced that he's more powerful than Krishna. This is the difference, dear devotees. The love of the Vrajavasis does not shake. It does not shatter. Irrespective of how much ever Krishna shows his godly abilities, their love does not shatter. So there are two interesting points from this, dear devotees. First, the Brajavasis are convinced Krishna is not God. And second, their love for Sri Krishna never decreases. In fact, their love only increases for Krishna. Irrespective of whether Krishna is God or not, their love for Krishna only keeps on increasing and increasing and increasing. So, our Acharyas now very beautifully comment. Shukadev Goswami, Canto 10, Chapter 36, he comments that Kamsa, what he decided was, he decided to send Aristhasur now to Vrindavan. And at that time, Krishna was getting ready for his rasa dance. Krishna was getting ready. The Braja Gopis were there, Radharani was there, and Krishna was getting ready for his Rasa Leela. And at that time, dear devotees, Kamsa, he sent Aristhasur. And now Aristhasur was a bull, which means a male cow. And sending Aristhasur, dear devotees, was a very strategic plan. Kamsa was very smart. He sent Aristhasur on purpose. Why? Because Kamsa knew that Krishna loves the cows very much. Krishna is called as Gopal. So he knew that because of Krishna's affinity towards the cows, because of Krishna's love towards the cows, Krishna will not harm Aristhasur because he's a male cow. So Kamsa basically was taking an advantage. He was pressing the weak point of Krishna, and he was convinced that Krishna will not kill Aristhasur because he's a male cow. And dear devotees, this point is made multiple times. There was once a cow whose name was Bahula. And this Bahula cow was once grazing. It was grazing and eating some grass. And at that time, from a distance, a tiger saw this Bahula cow. So when the tiger saw this Bahula cow, he ran towards Bahula. And what did the tiger say? Mahaprasade Govinde. The tiger was very happy because he saw Bahula, he saw a cow. So he was very excited. So when Bahula saw this tiger, the cow, it said that, oh tiger, I will give my life to you, don't worry. But my calf is very hungry. So if you allow me, I will go and give some milk to my calf, and then I will again come back. So the tiger, he said, okay, no problem, I'll wait for you. So Bahula, the cow, she went and she fed milk to her calf. And at that time, she narrated this whole incident to the master. So when the Brahmana, he heard this, he thought to himself, I am the master. If there is someone who should sacrifice his life, it should be me and not the Bahula cow. So he told Bahula that if there is someone who will go to the tiger, it is me. I will sacrifice my life. So when the master said this, immediately the calf said, no, I will go. My dear Brahmana, you don't go. I will sacrifice my life. When the Bahula cow heard this, the cow said, no one will go. I will go to the tiger. So what happened was, at the end, all three of them ended up going to the tiger. And when they went to the tiger saw all three of them. And this was like a Chappan Bhog, dear devotees. This was like a feast for the tiger because he asked for one cow. And at the end, he got one calf and one Brahmana also. So the tiger was jubilant. He was excited. But at that time, Sri Krishna arrived at that scene. And it is said Krishna arrived with the Sudarshan Chakra. And Krishna he besieged the tiger that, "Oh tiger, if you spare the life of Bahula, if you spare her life, then I guarantee that you will get everlasting fame. People for the rest of eternity will always remember you, O tiger, if you spare the life of Bahula." So when the tiger heard this, the tiger agreed to Krishna's proposition, and the tiger left Bahula. And dear devotees, because the life of Bahula was saved in that forest by Krishna, that forest was called as Bahulavan. Because in Sanskrit, Van means forest, and Bahula was the name of the cow. So Bahula was protected in that one. That's why it was called as Bahulavan. So now Kamsa knew that Krishna loved the cows very much and he would not cause any harm to the cows. So on purpose, he sent Arishtasur to Vrindavan. And in Sanskrit, dear devotees, a bull is also called as Vrishabha. So that is why we see Arishtasur was also called as Vrishabhasur. And we see this name in the Gopi Geet. In the third verse of the Gopi Geet, the gopis are addressing Arishtasur as Vrishabhasur. They call him Vrishabha. The gopis say, Visha Jalapyaya Vyalar Varashamarudha Vaidhyutanala Vrishabhayatmaja Vishwato Bhayat Rishabhate Bhayam Rakshita Muho. So there, dear devotees, we find the gopis are addressing Arishtasur as Vrishabha or Vrishabhasur, which means a male cow, a bull. So now when Arishtasur entered Brajdham, Vishwanath Chakravarti comments by saying it was night time. It was the night time when the bull entered and Krishna was getting ready for his rasa dance. So when the gopis headed by Radharani, when they saw this, they immediately embraced the tamal tree. Because we know tamal tree represents Krishna. So the gopis embraced the tamal tree and said, Krishna, 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 protect us. There is a very dangerous bull that has come. Krishna, please protect us. So Krishna looked at Arishtasur. And our acharyas say, Arishtasur was huge. He was gigantic. So much so that his hump, dear devotees, was almost touching the clouds. The clouds mistook it for some mountain. It was so huge. His eyes were burning in anger. His horns were pointed towards Krishna. And with his feet, he was tapping the ground very heavily. At that point, Shukadev Goswami says that looking at the gigantic form of Arishtasur, some female cows, some cows and some mothers in the neighboring village, they even had miscarriage just by looking at the gigantic form of Arishtasur. And now the gopis and Radharani were holding on to Krishna. They wanted Krishna to protect them. At that time when Arishtasur was all set, when he was charging towards Sri Krishna, Shukadev Goswami, dear devotees, very beautifully says, Krishna was not at all afraid. Krishna, in fact, was keeping his hand over Subal, and Krishna was laughing and chuckling and giggling. He was looking at Arishtasur and cracking jokes. And this infuriated Arishtasur even more. Looking at Krishna, making fun of him, looking at Krishna, making jokes about him, Arishtasur became very angry. So with all his strength, Arishtasur charged towards Sri Krishna. And devotees, when Arishtasur charged towards Sri Krishna, Krishna very easily, very naturally, without shedding any sweat, Krishna held his horns and threw him 18 steps behind. Shukadev Goswami gives exact details. He says Arishtasur was sent 18 steps behind. And when Krishna threw Arishtasur, this made Arishtasur very angry. He was passing urine, he was passing stool, and he was very angry at Krishna. So now, part two, he again charged at Krishna. And this time, when he charged at Krishna, Krishna literally uprooted his horns, dear devotees, and kicked and kicked and kicked and kicked his life air out of him. Krishna kicked him to death. And Arishtasur tried everything possible. He was pleading to Krishna, Krishna, save me, I'm sorry I came. But Krishna kicked and took the life out. And Arishtasur was down to the ground, dead completely. And when Arishtasur was killed, Krishna was now ready. He looked at the Braja Gopis and said, okay, it is time again for the rasa dance. We stopped it in between because of Arishtasur, but now Arishta is killed. So now let us again begin the rasa dance. But when Krishna thought of beginning the rasa dance, dear devotees, the gopis headed by Radharani, they said, no, 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 Krishna, you're impure. You just killed a male cow, that is bull. You're impure. And we don't want to have any connection with someone who's impure. So first you have to get purified and then you can dance with us. So when Krishna heard this, Krishna said, you asked for shelter. You told me to protect you from Arishtasur. And now that I protected you from Arishtasur, you are saying I have done an offense. I am impure, but I actually protected you. The gopi said, Krishna, we don't know all those things. You have killed a male cow. You have killed a bull, which means you're impure and you have to get yourself purified. So Krishna said, okay, what am I supposed to do? So here we see, dear devotees, that they have just now witnessed Krishna punching and smashing and kicking Arishtasur to death, but still their love has not decreased. Unlike Mathuravasis or Arjuna, as we discussed, the love of the gopis have not decreased. The love of Srimati Radharani has not decreased absolutely, even after witnessing Krishna kicking Arishtasur to death. This is the difference, dear devotees, between the Brajavasis and the Mathuravasis, the Dwarakavasis, or anyone else outside of Vrindavan. So they command, they are authoritative. They tell Krishna that you have to get purified. So Krishna says, okay, what am I supposed to do? How should I get myself purified? And Radharani says, well, if you want to get purified, you have to take bath in all the holy rivers. If you take bath in all the holy rivers, we will consider that you are pure. So when Krishna hears this, Krishna says, take bath in all the holy rivers? Why should I go to all the holy rivers? The holy rivers will come to me. And saying this, Krishna with his feet, he tapped on the ground. And the moment Krishna tapped with his heel, when he tapped on the ground, all the holy rivers, Ganga, Saraswati, Kaveri, all the rivers, they came and they prostrated themselves at the lotus feet of Krishna. And they said, my dear Krishna, how can we serve you? And Krishna said, if you can kindly form a kund here, and that will be a great service for me. So all the waters that came from different places, they formed a kund, and Krishna very nicely took his bath in that kund. And that kund, dear devotees, which was invoked by the Supreme Lord, and that kund where Krishna himself took bath, where Shyam himself took bath, is called as Shyam Kund. That was the origin of Shyam Kund. So now our Shyam Sundar has taken his bath at Shyam Kund, and when he comes out, he looks at the gopis, and Krishna says, when I killed Arishtasur, y'all looked at me. When I was impure, all of you looked at me, which means even y'all are impure, which means even y'all have to take a bath. Just like I took my bath, similarly, even you have to take your bath, O gopis. So when the gopis headed by Srimati Radharani, when they heard this, they said, okay, we will also take our bath. And with their bangles, they started digging to make a kund. The gopis headed by Radharani, with their bangles, they started digging. And here was our Krishna. He was standing and he was witnessing the whole scene. And at that time, what the gopis were doing is, a few set of gopis were digging with their bangles, while the other set of gopis had formed a chain. From Radhakund till Mansi Ganga, they had formed a chain, and one gopi from Mansi Ganga was taking water. She would pass on to another gopi. That gopi would pass on to another gopi, and in that way, they were filling Sri Radhakund. So, dear devotees, during festivals, when we see that we form a chain to pass the prasad, where is the origin for that coming from? It is coming from this pastime, dear devotees, because the gopis did it with pots and pots of water from Mansi Ganga. They were taking it all the way to Radhakund. So now Krishna was seeing this. And when Krishna saw this, Krishna said, well, if you want, you can take water from my kund. I mean, you don't have to do so much endeavor to get it all the way from Mansi Ganga. If you want, you can take waters from my kund. And when Radharani heard this, she said, nothing doing, Krishna. We will form our own kund. We will get the own water. We will dig the kund and we will take bath in that kund. We will make sure that we are not taking anything from you, Krishna. So when Krishna heard this, Krishna didn't have any answer. But at that time, the rivers who had helped Krishna purify himself, they personified and came in front of Radharani. And when they came in front of Radharani, dear devotees, they fell at the feet of Radharani and said, my dear Radharani, we want to offer our service to you. We want to serve your lotus feet. We know you're very kind-hearted. We know you're very merciful. Kindly accept this service that we want to offer. And when Radharani heard this, Radharani is very merciful. When Srimati Radharani heard this, she agreed. And when Radharani agreed, all the waters from Shamkund, they gushed their way to Radhakund. And dear devotees, this is the way, this is how Sri Radhakund was formed in this world. The waters of Shamkund gushed their way. They broke all the barriers and they filled the kund which the gopis had dug with their bangles. And this is how, dear devotees, Radhakund was formed in this world. Srimati Radharani, along with the Braja gopis, they took their bath in Radhakund and they came out. And similarly, Krishna took his bath in Shamkund and he came out. And that kund where Shamsundar takes his bath is Shamkund, and that kund where Radharani took her bath is called as Radhakund, dear devotees. This is how Shukadev Goswami and all our predecessor Acharya, they beautifully glorify the appearance of Radhakund and Shamkund. But now there is a small problem, dear devotees. When did this pastime occur? This pastime occurred 5,500 years back in Dwapar. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the year of 1515, which means 515 years ago, when Sachinandan Gauranga Mahaprabhu came to Vrindavan, he looked around and, dear devotees, there was no Radhakund. Radhakund had become aprakat. It had become invisible to the naked eye. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asking everyone, where is Radhakund? Radhakund kothai? Where is Radhakund? And the Brajavasis were scratching their head. They were thinking to themselves, Radhakund? We have not heard any Radhakund. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was Bhagavan himself, he understood that Radhakund and Shamkund has become aprakat. It has become lost to the naked eye. Kaviraj Goswami very beautifully describes. He says, Kalena Vrindavana Keli Vartam Lupte Titam Khyapaitum Vishishya Kripamritena Abhisheshya Devas Tatraiva Rupam Cha Sanatanam Cha. This comes from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. Kaviraj Goswami saying, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Vrindavan and when he came to the place of Radhakund, it had become lupta. Lupteti tam khyapaitum vishishya. This place of Radhakund, what to speak of Radhakund, dear devotees, all the pastime places in Vrindavan had become lupta. They had become lost to the naked eye. So just as a side point, that we know Brahmaji, he always travels in a swan. And swan in Sanskrit is called as a hamsa. We say Paramhamsa, which means a great swan. So Brahmaji always travels in a swan. But because that swan, which is used for traveling from one place to another, which is like the order carrier, which travels through air, because that has become Lupta, it is called as Lupta Hansa. And dear devotees, that over a period of time in the German language has become Lufthansa. The origin is Lupta Hansa, which means the lost swan of Brahmaji, because a swan is used for traveling from one place to another. But because that has become Lupta over a period of time in the German language, that has become Lufthansa. But we see that origin is from our Vedic literature. So that was just as a side point. So Kaviraj Goswami here is using the same point of Lupta. Lupteti tam khyapaitum visheshya. Radha Kund had become aprakat. So at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he decided to empower all the 6 Goswamis, Rupa, Sanatan, Raghunath Bhatta, Jiva, Gopal Bhatta, and our Raghunath Das Goswami. If there was anyone, dear devotees, of the 6 Goswamis who had maximum association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Our Raghunath Das Goswami had 16 years of personal association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which was the maximum. No associate, no Goswami had so much association with Gauranga Mahaprabhu like that of Raghunath Das. 16 years of personal association. And naturally, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this world, it was a thunderbolt to his heart. He couldn't bear the separation. But the only solace to his heart was Swarup Damodar Goswami was still present in this planet. But dear devotees, when Swarup Damodar Goswami also left this planet, it was too much for Raghunath Das Goswami. He couldn't bear the separation because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had departed and now Swarup Damodar also had departed. So Raghunath Das Goswami, he thought to himself, he devised a plan of going on top of Giriraj and jumping from the top of Giriraj because he thought to himself, there is no life. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not there. Swarup Damodar is not there. Why should I even live? So Raghunath Das Goswami began walking towards Giriraj to jump from the top of Giriraj. But dear devotees, thankfully, he was intercepted by Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. Rupa and Sanatan met Raghunath Das and they asked him, hey Raghunath, where are you going? And Raghunath Das Goswami said the whole thing. He said how he wanted to commit. He wanted to give up his life. He wanted to end his life because Chaitanya and Swarup Damodar was not present. When Rupa and Sanatan heard this, they said, oh Raghunath Das, you should not be doing this. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has some plan for you. So Raghunath Das Goswami said, what is the plan? I don't see any plan from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So at that time, Rupa Goswami said, oh Raghunath Das, has Chaitanya Mahaprabhu given you any gift? Has he gifted you anything? Raghunath Das Goswami thought and he said, yes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has gifted me 2 things. So Rupa said, what is that? At that time, Raghunath Das, he said, Mahaprabhu gifted me a Govardhan Shila and he gifted me Gunjamala. So Rupa Goswami said, there it is. That is an instruction that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given you. So Raghunath Das Goswami thought, what is the instruction in this? I cannot see any instruction. So at that time, Rupa and Sanatan, they said, oh Raghunath Das, Mahaprabhu has given you a Giriraj, which means he wants you to live in Giriraj. And he has also given you a Gunjamala. And Gunjamala is dear to Srimati Radharani. So Rupa and Sanatan, they said, which is that place in Giriraj which is most dear to Srimati Radharani? And Raghunath Das said, Radhakund. Radhakund is that place which is most dear to Srimati Radharani. So Rupa and Sanatan said, exactly. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire for you. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Swarup Damodar, they want you to live on the banks of Radhakund. So then Raghunath Das, when he heard this, he said, if I stay in Radhakund, what am I supposed to do? How will I serve? What will be my daily activities? So at that time, the two transcendental brothers, Rupa and Sanatan, they said that because, O Raghunath, you have had the maximum association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have had 16 years of personal association. So on the banks of Radhakund, you can speak Gaur Katha. You can speak the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and benefit the whole world. And when Raghunath Das Goswami heard this, he was excited. He said, yes, I can do this. I can speak about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because I have been with him. And Rupa and Sanatan, they rescued the life of Raghunath Das Goswami. And Raghunath Das Goswami, dear devotees, on the banks of Radhakund, he would speak Gaur Katha. For 45 years, our Prayojan Acharya Raghunath Das Goswami stayed on the banks of Radhakund. So all the credit for finding and excavating and renovating Radhakund is given to Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, dear devotees, because Das Goswami lived maximum on the banks of Radhakund. The steps that we find in Radhakund, that was completely done by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. And it's very beautiful. When our Raghunath Das Goswami was doing all the construction work, when he was doing all the tiles and all the steps, he finished Radhakund. And when he was about to do Shamkund, he had made plans to cut off a few trees so that a nice rectangle shape can be made for Shamkund also. Because we see from top, when we see Radhakund is rectangle in shape. So Raghunath Das Goswami had this desire that even Shamkund should be exactly the similar. So he had told a few people to cut off the trees in and around Shamkund so that the perfect rectangle shape can be maintained. But, dear devotees, that night, in the dream of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Yudhishthir Maharaj came. Yudhishthir Maharaj came in the dream of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami and said, my dear Das Goswami, I request you, I beseech you, please don't cut these trees. The 5 trees that you are planning to cut are none other than the 5 Pandavas. We are doing our bhajan on the banks of Shamkund. Oh Das Goswami, it is my humble request. Please don't cut us. We always want to be in the association of Shyam Sundar, Shri Krishna and Srimati Radharani. If you so desire, oh Das Goswami, please don't cut us. And the dream broke. And when Raghunath Das Goswami woke up, he understood that Yudhishthir Maharaj and all the 5 brothers were doing their bhajan on the banks of Shamkund. And he decided to not cut those trees. Even today, dear devotees, for those who have been to Shamkund, will agree to the fact they would have seen that the 5 trees are still present, who are none other than the 5 Pandavas whom Raghunath Das Goswami spared and did not cut. So if we see from the top view, Radhakund is rectangular, but Shamkund is never rectangular. It is oblong in shape. The shape is never proper. Why? Because of the 5 trees, 5 Pandavas who are doing their bhajan there. So in this way, dear devotees, Sripad Raghunath Das Goswami did the major excavation for Radhakund and our Shamkund. And to wrap up, there is a very beautiful point that Srila Jiva Goswami makes, dear devotees. And this is so interesting. We can remember this point for the rest of our life. And when I read it, I was so excited that I wanted to share it with the devotees. Srila Jiva Goswami, in his interpretation to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So as we know, there are various interpretations to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And the most famous is what Srila Prabhupada has given us, that, O Srimati Radharani, O energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. But we see Vishwanath Chakravarti, Baladev Vidyabhushan, Jiva Goswami, Veer Raghavacharya, and so many other acharyas of the past, they have given their interpretations in the holy name, and all of them are bona fide. So Jiva Goswami, in his interpretation to the holy name, he says, when this pastime of Krishna killing Arishtasur was taking place, dear devotees, please listen this. This is very beautiful. Jiva Goswami says, when Krishna was killing Arishtasur, at that time, because Krishna is also called as Hari, so when Krishna was killing Arishtasur, at that time, Srimati Radharani, from a distance, she called out, Hare! Hare! Because when we call out someone in a vocative case, like for example, Radha in vocative becomes Radhe. When we are calling out someone in vocative case in Sanskrit, it becomes Radhe. Similarly, Hari, when we are calling out in vocative case, it becomes Hare. So Jiva Goswami says, when Krishna was killing Arishtasur, Srimati Radharani called out loudly, Hare, oh Krishna, Hare. And he says, the Hare that we have, that is Hare, Krishna, 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 Hare. This Hare, that is the second last Hare in the first. Jiva Goswami says the second last Hare from the first line was the call of Srimati Radharani to Krishna when Krishna was killing Arishtasur. When Krishna was smashing Arishtasur to death, our Jiva Goswami says that Radharani called out Hare. And this Hare that we chant in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the second last Hare from the first line, that is Radharani calling out to Sri Krishna. And naturally, when Radharani called out, Krishna's mind was stolen, because Hari also means to steal, it also means to kidnap. So when Radharani called out this way, Krishna's mind was stolen. And Jiva Goswami says, these are the two meanings of that Hare, which is the second last Hare from the first line. First meaning, Radharani called out to Sri Hari in the form of Hare, oh Krishna. And second, because Radharani stole the mind and the heart of Sri Krishna, or who is Hari, that Hari also becomes Hare. So that Hare that we chant has two meanings, dear devotees. And this is given by Srila Jiva Goswami in his commentary to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So as I wrap up, this is something which we can always remember. The next time we pick up our beads and when we are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, when we come to this Hare, we can remember that this was the call of Srimati Radharani. Radharani was anxious and she was concerned for Hari. And in concern, she said, oh Hare. And that Hare stole the mind of Sri Krishna. So as I wrap up, this is such a beautiful day that on Radhashtami, dear devotees, we bathe Srimati Radharani. And on Bahulashtami, Srimati Radharani bathes all our devotees through her waters. Having said this, I very humbly stop here. Shri Radhakund Bahulashtami ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari 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 Bo.